Reviewing lessons 5.4 through 5.7, if we look at lesson 5.4, is solving inequalities using addition or subtraction. So in this lesson, we're trying to get the variable by itself. They're either going to be adding or subtracting. We're going to do the opposite in order to get the variable by itself. Just a reminder, slight difference when you show your work on these is, you guys know we normally do these underneath, show the work underneath when we're working those out. And then once you've solved that, again, we're doing the same thing on both sides of the inequality. X is greater than or equal to 30. Greater than or equal to would be a closed circle at 30 because it includes 30. And then points that are greater than that would go towards the right. And again, just slight difference there of graphing above the number line instead of on it so we can see it more easily. So if you look at number 1, Carson's wheelbarrow can hold 345 pounds. He has 121 pounds of rock in the wheelbarrow. What number of pounds P can he put in the wheelbarrow without going over the weight limit? This does not technically say that we have to write an inequality, but let's just act like we do because sometimes they're going to say write and solve an inequality. So on this problem, we've got already 121 pounds of rock in the wheelbarrow, and then we can add some amount to that, and we need to stay less than or equal to 345 pounds. At that point, once we've set up the inequality, we're going to solve it. So they are adding. We need to subtract 121 on both sides. So P is less than or equal to 224 would be our answer. It didn't say to graph this. If we did graph this, this would be a closed circle at 224 going towards the left. Number 2, they already have set up for us. They're just asking us to solve and graph. So you can see to get the X by itself, they're subtracting, means we need to add 19 on both sides of the inequality. And when we do that, X is less than 100. When you graph this, okay, if you want to go by 50s here or something, obviously I don't expect you to go by 1s all the way to 100. Less than 100, it's just less than, so it would be an open circle, and then going towards the left, and then put an arrow on the end of that. Lesson 5 is solving inequalities using multiplication or division. So for this, remember, if you multiply or divide by a negative number, the inequality has to change directions. So on the example they gave, they're dividing by negative 15. So first of all, positive divided by negative is negative. The other thing is our sign was greater than, it's going to switch to less than. So n is less than negative 5. So again, it would be an open circle going towards the left. So if you look at the first problem here, Travis has 3 months to save money for a trip. Airplane ticket costs more than $300. He saves the same amount of money A each month. How much does he need to save each month to pay for the ticket? Again, let's just assume that we have to have an inequality for this as well. So he's got 3 months. He's saving the same amount each month. So the amount he's saving, we could think about the amount he's saving would be 3 times A. 3 times however much he saves each month. it costs more than $300. So this is what he's saving. So if it costs more than $300, the amount he's saving needs to be more than $300. We don't know exactly what that is, but it needs to be more than $300 total. So this could be an inequality that we could have for this problem, and then they're multiplying by 3, so we could divide by 3 in order to solve this. So that'd be A is greater than 100, which would mean he has to save more than $100 a month. And again, I know you guys can figure that out without setting up that inequality, but like I said, sometimes they're going to say write an inequality. Another way you could do this, A is greater than 300 divided by 3 would be another option for your inequality. Number 2, they want us to solve and graph this. So there's a couple ways of doing this. What most people do, look at this and say -1/8 is right next to the variable. So you could say they are multiplying, which means we need to divide by -1/8. When we divide by a negative, that's going to switch our inequality sign around. And remember, when you divide, is keep, change, reciprocal. Normally the negative will go ahead and put up with the numerator. When you multiply, that's -272. And once again, I don't expect you to go by ones on that either. Just this one's not real great to even split it up. You know, if you want to just show me where 0 is and show me -272, and then greater than or equal to, so it's a closed circle, and then it would be going towards the right. Lesson 6 is solving two-step inequalities. So when you do these problems, the first step is going to be either adding or subtracting in order to get the variable term by itself, and then we're going to multiply or divide. So you can see the example here. They had to add 9 on both sides, and they had to divide by 6. Just like what we did when we solved two-step equations, the only difference is that last step, if you have to multiply or divide by a negative number, then you're going to have to switch your inequality sign. So, number 1, the school band gets $5 for each t-shirt they sell at a fundraiser. They have a goal of raising $150. $45 has been raised so far. How many more t-shirts do they have to sell to reach or exceed the goal? So if we just maybe define a variable here, so probably something like this. Let X represent how many more t-shirts they need to sell would probably be a good way of defining our variable. And so $5 for every additional t-shirt they're selling, and then they've already raised $45. So this is how much money they're going to be raising. Their goal is $150, so the amount they raise to reach or exceed the goal, the amount they raise needs to be greater than or equal to $150. So that would be the inequality to start with, and then the first thing is we could subtract 45 on both sides, and then they're multiplying, so if you divide by 5, and that would be 21. So that means they would have to sell at least 21 t-shirts. And when you get to that point, you really should make a sentence there. Okay. Just say they need to sell at least 21 t-shirts. Okay, and then if we look at number 2, just watch your signs on this one. If you want to add the opposite here first, you can. And then there's a -8 that we need to get rid of. To get rid of a -8, make this a little bigger so we can see it better. To get rid of a -8, we would need to add 8 on both sides. -8 plus 8 cancels out. And then -25 plus 8. They're different signs, so we're subtracting them. And when you subtract, it'd be 17. Which one do you have more of? You have more negatives. So that would be -17. And then you can say they're multiplying, so we need to divide by -1/3. And right away, when we divide by -1/3, dividing by negative means we're going to switch our inequality sign around. When we do this, remember dividing fractions, how do we do that? Is keep, change, reciprocal. Normally they go ahead and put the negative up with the numerator. When you work this out, negative times negative is a positive. 17 times 3 is 51. So n is greater than or equal to 51.